Hello everybody. I'm going to make another video today, bit different today. Not going to be talking about records. I'm actually going to be talking about something a lot different. I'm going to be talking about my other passion other than records, and that is anime. More specifically, anime films. Just in this video. I got a bunch of Blu-rays over here next to me. I'm just going to go through them all, talk about my favorites. A lot of these are probably people are pretty familiar with. None of these are too obscure. But yeah, just we'll get into something else besides, just music. I vary up the channel a little bit. I guess to start, I'll talk about all my Hayao Miyazaki films, kind of the poster child for anime films. I mean, all of his films are considered classics. I mean, I got Spirited Away, Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, Kiki's Delivery Service, Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle. Spirited Away, if you haven't seen it, is a fantastic, fantastic film. I think the only anime feature to ever win an Oscar. One for Best Animated Feature. This is my favorite film of all time, Princess Mononoke. Excellent story. Excellent storytelling. It's very unique storytelling because the way it works is the main character Ashitaka comes into a place where there is a war happening between two sides, both sides of which have very valid arguments as to why they're fighting for what they're fighting for. And all the protagonist, Ashitaka, is doing is trying to create peace between these two sides. And that's a story dynamic that you really don't see much, where there really isn't a solid villain. There's just, I guess, a war and their need and the goal of peace. And this film is fantastic, and I can't speak highly of it. Howl's Moving Castle, I'm a bit new to. I've only seen it recently. Still a fantastic film, but yeah, it's same old like beautiful world building and storytelling that he always has. Stunning visuals, great characters, all the usual stuff that he is known for being great at. Kiki's Delivery Service. I watched this as a kid on like VHS before I even knew what anime technically was, and man, I guess this is kind of like where it all started for me. But yeah, it's just very lighthearted, fun film. Always love that one. And then Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, very underrated film in my opinion. Kind of gets overshadowed by a lot of his other great works. Same kind of story dynamic as Princess Mononoke, where there's a protagonist, Nausicaa, and there's two sides fighting. Again, both sides have very valid arguments as to why they're fighting, why they're doing the things they do, but she just wants peace and a safe place for the insects in this movie to live. She has it's a very, very interesting film. Again, incredible world building, incredible storytelling, incredible characters. Always just nails it on his films. I don't think he necessarily has a bad film. Alright, moving on from there. It's no secret that I love this film right here. I mean, it's in every single one of my videos. If you haven't heard of Perfect Blue, it's a film by Satoshi Kon. And it is a psychological thriller about a woman being stalked. A woman who, she's a singer, moves into acting a little bit and is being stalked by this man pretending to be her online. And the way Satoshi Kon, the director, manages to just fool you with his editing and visuals and just off-kilter storytelling and all this other stuff, he literally can trick you into thinking that the scene we're seeing is not real, the scene we're seeing is a dream, or this is her acting in a film, and then you almost lose track of reality alongside the protagonist. And the way he manages that in a film like this, he really is a good example of a film that would not be able to do as much justice in live action. And I think this is required watching for anybody who loves films. His editing is incredible, and just his I don't know, just there's something so magnificent about the way this man made films. Rest in peace to Satoshi Kon. But yes, definitely check out Perfect Blue, one of the best films I've ever seen. And then I also have one of his other films, Paprika. Again, same wonderful editing, insane visuals, blurring of reality. Kind of like, notes he always hits on in all of his films. But yeah, this is another really great film. I think Perfect Blue is a lot better, but this is still wonderful. All right, moving on from there, we're going to a different director. This are two films by Momo Hosoda, who isn't necessarily like a classic or like someone like a must see kind of guy, at least not yet, as in someone like Satoshi Kon or Hayao Miyazaki or Isao Takahata. But his films are really something to behold. He takes these very relatable, I'd hesitate to call them simple, but easy to digest themes and brings them into a more fantastical setting. This one is an incredible, incredible, incredible. Can't stress enough how incredible this movie is. Movie by him called Wolf Children. Really focusing on what it really means to be a mother, what motherhood really means. It's about this mother falls in love with a man who ends up being half wolf, and they have two kids, and I won't say anything that happens past there. I showed off the soundtrack on vinyl that I had in another video, but it's such a beautiful, beautiful film, whether it be the stories or the visuals. He has a great sense of cinematography. He has great use of color in this film. And it's not as like out there, I guess, or like fantastical as a lot of Satoshi Kon's movies or Hayao Miyazaki's films. This one just made me cry, like I think like 4 or 5 times the first time I watched it. And it just hit me so hard, and just everything about it was so fantastic. Yeah, I can't stress enough how amazing I think this film is. And the other one here I have is Summer Wars, which I actually have not watched yet. Hopefully soon, because I've seen Wolf Children, I've seen Mirai, his newest film in theaters. That actually got nominated for an Oscar, which is awesome. Hopefully that wins. But yeah, I would like to watch this soon. I just have not checked it out yet. I'm sure it's amazing. I've heard great things about it, and he's always on point as a director. All right, moving on from there, one of my favorite current directors in anime is Masaaki Yuasa. If you're not familiar with him, he's directed films like Night of Short Walk On, or Lou Over the Wall, Night of Short Walk On Girl, and he directed Devilman Crybaby on Netflix, which is, that show is insane how just creative it is. But he is very unique in his animation style. The minute you see a Masaaki Yuasa film, you're like, oh, this is a Masaaki Yuasa movie. Because his just animation style just looks so unique compared to everything else that's out there. It almost doesn't even seem like you could classify it as anime, because anime always has like a very cohesive looking feel to it and look to it. And he kind of abandons that in a lot of cases in his films. And he has such unique animation styles and uses a lot of methods and changes up his styles and within the films. That's why if you ever look up his film Mind Game, it changes style so crazy that you can't even keep track of what's going on. And occasionally in this movie, it's about the same. But this is probably the best film I saw last year. The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. It's a story about chance, about fate, about love. Basically, this girl, they're at a wedding, and she spends the night just drinking the night away, and all the crazy things that ensue around it as a man is trying to pursue her, win her heart over. And it's, again, all about chance and fate and what those really mean, and are they real, and all this stuff. And again, just those crazy visuals are here, and it's just a stunning movie. And the other one I have by him is Lou Over the Wall. This is more of a children's film. That one's obviously much more adult. But it doesn't sacrifice any of his fantastic talent. Again, changes up his animation style a lot. And he does something in this film that he did in Night of Short Walk On Girl, but something I've noticed more in this one, he used a bit more, is he'll change up his style in a way where his animation almost looks like rotoscoping, where you animate over a live action piece, except it looks like he almost didn't have like anything live action underneath it. He was just guessing, and so his animations seem like loose and like really trippy, and like people are almost melting, and it's, oh my god, it blows me away the way this dude animates and just the way his mind works. It's seriously something else. And This movie is about a small little town on the side of like a harbor where there's supposedly mermaids that can kill you and hunt you down when they end up just looking like that, and they do bite you, and they turn you into mermaids, and the only reason they ever bite people is to save them and whatnot. And it's so there's a big misunderstanding as to what these mermaids actually are, who they are, what their point is, what if they're evil or not. And it's a big war against, I wouldn't say a war, but just like a movie about that conflict. And while it's a children's film, it still has a lot of great content, a lot of very emotional moments as well. Doesn't really it's a children's film, but like it doesn't treat them like they're idiots, which is the best kind of children's film. All right, I don't have any more like consistent directors. I'm just gonna go through some of the like odd ones out I have in my collection here. I feel like I'm missing one here. No, I think I got them all. Yeah. Okay. So the first one I want to show is When Marnie Was There. Studio Ghibli film, not Hayao Miyazaki though. It's directed by Hiromasa Yunabayashi. I don't know any of his other films. This is a great, almost like ghost story in a way. Just about this girl. She's adopted, doesn't really accept herself. Thinks she just doesn't like herself, and goes away to this small fishing village in Japan, and just kind of some weird stuff starts happening. She meets this girl at a mansion, an abandoned mansion, like across the harbor, and just all this. She's just trying to figure out who she is, who like she's learning how to accept herself. It's a good coming of age story and acceptance story. It's a wonderful little movie. Moving on from there, this is a weird one. Patema Inverted. It's a movie about there was some sort of grand scientific, almost apocalyptic disaster where gravity flipped, but only for half of the population. And so now gravity works in a way where half the population is underneath and like under the earth, and half the population is on top, except neither of the sides actually know that they exist. So it's a crazy film, and the way the characters work is they're always, set up like this. Somebody's always almost falling, and somebody's always, like, I don't know, like, actually on the ground. And it makes for some great visuals and cinematic tricks and just eye-catching moments. And yeah, it's a whacked out movie, but it's something to behold. It's really good. Next one I got a classic. I got Grave of the Fireflies, one of the saddest and most beautiful war movies ever made, in my opinion. Great look at the Japanese side of what was happening during the war. Yeah, it'll break your fucking heart. It's a required watching because it's not just like a cry because something horrible's happening. Like Isao Takahata, the director, really put a lot of passion into these characters, into the visuals, into why you should feel for these characters. And man, it is something else. It really did hit home when I first watched this movie. I think it's required watching for just your average film goer, not just an anime fan. Definitely everybody should see this film. And then another film that I think just everybody should watch, the classic Akira. I actually only saw this like a couple weeks ago for the first time. I saw it in theaters. There's a small little theater like about 20 minutes away from my house that shows, cult classic films on Friday nights. And it really, really was like, why the fuck have I not watched this sooner? And I'm really glad I got to see it on a big screen because, man, one of the best animated films ever. It is so painstaking watching how this was animated. Every frame is so fluid. It's like, how did they have the time to do it? And the story, the action, the characters, the visuals, the just the world building, everything is so immaculately made in this film and put together that it's seriously mind-blowing, and it's so influential across all films. Yeah, I'm just sad that I hadn't watched it sooner, but really happy that I now have. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got. I hope people like this video. I know it's something different. I just want to talk about one of my other passions in the world. And yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a wonderful day.